So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Today we'll get back here, BSN Network. This is the BSN Network podcast here today. It is Tuesday, December 22nd. Hope everybody's having a good day so far and a good rest of their day yesterday. It is, in fact, Tuesday, December 22nd. We are now 3 days away. Yes, just 3 days away until Christmas. So that's a very, very, very good thing. And the wait is over. The Brooklyn Nets and the NBA will start back up tonight. Yes, tonight we got two very good games on tonight. Nets Warriors and the Lakers Clippers. Two amazing games, two going to be entertaining games, I think. And the wait is over for us Nets fans to finally watch the Brooklyn Nets with Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, guys like that on this team finally be together on the court at the same time. And ultimately, we have high expectations this year. Championship is without a doubt one of our expectations. And it's a realistic expectation this year. It's a realistic possibility of the Brooklyn Nets possibly winning a championship. I cannot believe I'm still sitting here saying that because I just cannot. I mean, still the fact that we have Kyrie and KD just does not seem real to me. I mean, you're talking about some of the best players at their position, two superstars in this league. KD will go down as probably a top 10 scorer of all time. Kyrie, probably a top 10, top 15 point guard right now in the league. I mean, you talk about that, add on Joe Harris, Karis LeVert, DJ, DeAndre Jordan, Jared Allen, new coaching staff. This is going to be a fun year for us Nets fans. As long as everyone stays healthy and as long as ultimately the NBA this year moves smoothly through, obviously the COVID situation and stuff, we should be in pretty good situation to watch a lot of good NBA basketball today. I'm really excited. 2 games on today. The rest of the league plays tomorrow. 2 nationally televised games today. Both of those games are on TNT. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to it. I've been waiting for this as a Nets fan for a very long time now. Once they got signed, I've been waiting for this, so it's going to be exciting. I'm really, really excited to see. We saw what they did in the preseason was amazing. Now it's time to finally put it together and get rolling in the regular season because this is when it actually counts and these games actually matter. 72 games. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we're covering it all today in the podcast. But these are the topics today. The Bengals with the huge upset yesterday. Yes, a crazy upset by the Cincinnati Bengals yesterday. They improved to 3-10-1 on the year, and the Steelers once again fall to 11-3. 3 straight losses for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I would not be surprised if they finished the year 11-5. Everyone's seeing how this team was 11-0. They're insane. This, and this. And guess what? They're 11-3 now. And the Steelers look everything but a playoff team. They look awful. I'm gonna get into the whole Steelers. They got a lot of distractions off the field that I think really hurts them in these games, and we'll get into it all here. Then we have the fantasy football. Give you fantasy football. The final results. Nothing really changed. Although my opponent had Pittsburgh defense, so it lowered him a little bit, but it wasn't enough to get me the win. Not that it would have been. The Pittsburgh defense probably would have had to get him like negative 80 points, which I knew was not going to happen. So just a couple changes there, but ultimately I'll get you ready for this week. For those of you who are watching this, and if you're in the championship, I'll give you some advice. And for those of you who are in a situation like me where you're going for third place in both leagues, then I will give you some advice as well. Because third place, I guess, isn't bad after all. You still get on the top 3 leaderboard. Usually at the end of the year, they give you who's first, who's second, and third. And then other than that, it's kind of, if you finish 4th or below, it's not too great. So, we'll see what happens all there. But we'll get into fantasy football. You know the drill. Every single start of the season, I do a power rankings for the league. I did it with the MLB. I did it with the NFL. I'm going to do it with the NBA. And when January 13th, when the NHL starts back up, I will do it for the NHL as well. I'll give you my power rankings, my top 10 NBA teams. When the year's over, I'll pull it out, see what I got right, see what I got wrong. See what was the biggest movers. Was there a team that I didn't put in my top 10 that's now in the top 10? Usually, there's a lot of times that that is that surprise team that makes a run, and they usually squeak into the top 10. But we'll obviously see there. Then we got the Nets and the Knicks. Give you the power rankings. Give you why I put the Nets and the Knicks where they are. I did only have my top 10 power rankings. Spoiler alert, I didn't put the Knicks in the top 10. You all probably know they're one of the worst teams in the league. I'm not going to put them in the top 10. The Nets did make my top 10. I'll tell you where, though, and I'll tell you why I put them where I did. All that good stuff. Then to finish it out, we got a packed final topic. We got college basketball, some college football games on today. There's a couple bowl games on today. There's a couple bowl games on today. No, actually, there's not. There's no bowl games on today. My bad. Yes, there are. BYU, UCF. So there's a bowl game on today. There was a bowl game on yesterday. But yeah, other than that, it looking pretty good. So the bowl games are looking pretty good. But obviously, we got a bowl game today. We got a couple bowl games. We got the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Nothing crazy. These come on earlier. Like, this one comes on 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so I'll probably watch this. But like the Boca Raton Bowl, I probably won't watch that because that's that bowl game's during the Nets game. But other than that, yeah, then there's some bowl games on tomorrow. So I'll definitely probably watch the Tulane Nevada Bowl. But other than that, it should be good. It should be good. I'm excited to see what all these teams got. You know, they're small bowl games, but still at the end of the day, it's football. So we got some college football games and some college basketball as well. There's some games on. Let's see. Hold on. I think there's definitely games on today. I know that. But there's some games on today. Nothing special. But if you're a huge college basketball fan and you would want to watch that, then they are on today. Kentucky does not play until Kentucky does not play until Saturday. So no new news on them. Then we got the Nets. NBA. Give you my game picks for tonight. Give you kind of a little bit of a season preview on the Nets. And then we'll get into fantasy basketball. As funny as it may sound, yes, it's crazy. We'll get into fantasy basketball, talk all about it, give you who you should start, who you should sit. There's only 2 players today who I have playing, and my opponent has 1 or 2 players, I think. I think my opponent has 2 players. Yeah, he's got Kawhi Leonard and Stephen Curry. I've got Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis. So, most likely, if you have a player playing today, it's going to be a superstar because all 4 of these teams today feature superstars. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard on the Clippers. Then you got LeBron James, Anthony Davis on the Lakers. You got Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving on the Nets. And you got Stephen Curry on the Warriors. But obviously, KD and Kyrie, I only have Kyrie. Someone else took KD. But yeah, so with all that being said, we got a packed pod ahead of us. So let's get into it. So yeah, as funny as it may sound, last night was yet another upset in NFL. And this week we had 2 major upsets. We had the New York Jets beating the Los Angeles Rams 23-20 in a game where they were 17-point underdogs. They actually made history in that upset. Biggest upset, I think, in Jets history or something since the Super Bowl in 1969 when Joe Namath led the New York Jets as 18-point underdogs, and they led them to a win against, at the time, the Baltimore Colts. No, I am not messing that up. At the time, back in 1969, the team name was the Baltimore Colts, and the Jets beat the Baltimore Colts in 1969 obviously to erase that 18-point underdog. So the Jets did it, obviously, on Sunday, erased the 17-point underdog, so not as big, 1 point off, but still, huge upset. And then yesterday, the Bengals completely said, you know what, get rid of that 14.5-point underdog, and Bengals took care of business yesterday at home against the AFC North rivals, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll tell you what, this game, I knew it was going to be a little bit of a rivalry. Both these teams hate each other. AFC North, I feel like, have the best rivalries. You got every team in that division hates each other. Like, every team in that division just despises each other. You could say that about every division, but I feel like something about the AFC North is just like every game, every time, I don't know, something about the AFC North is just a completely different game. Like, fans or no fans in the stadium, I feel like the energy's always there whenever there's an AFC North game. It's a lot of fun. I feel like they're always entertaining to watch, even if it's featuring the Bengals and the Steelers too. Maybe Steelers are very overrated, and a Bengals team that's, done for the year. I mean, they got 2 games left to try to maybe get to 5 wins, but, the team that's been eliminated, team that's battling with injuries, even though both these teams are struggling, it was still full of a lot of energy, still a very fun game to watch, and ultimately it was very entertaining as well. I'll tell you what, the Monday night games the past 2 weeks have been very fun to watch. Next week, we'll see Next week, we'll see if that Bills-Patriots game can live up to the hype. We'll see if the Patriots continue their success against the Buffalo Bills. The Patriots always find ways to dominate the AFC East, though that they're struggling this year. You wonder if they're still going to find a way. But yeah, so I obviously got the pick wrong last night. But and I was texting people last night during the game, and I said this, one of the people I was texting, like, I don't even care. I mean, I'm actually rooting for the Steelers to lose. I don't like the Steelers at all. I've never liked them. I just don't. I think they're very cocky. I personally think they're overrated. I'm not a big fan of teams that are overrated. I don't like when people start to bring up the 16-0 talks, and then you look what happens. I'm just not a big fan of the Steelers. Also, Big Ben has had some off-the-field issues. Not a big fan of him. Juju Smith-Schuster and all of his, his videos that he makes, the dancing on the logo before the game, don't like him. And same thing with Chase Claypool. Guy's a little overrated in my opinion. Does a lot of off-the-field stuff that I'm just not a big fan of. Not a big fan of him either. Not a big fan of the Steelers team at all. I think the most respectable player on the team is probably TJ Watt. I like all three of the Watt brothers. I like the Watts. I think they're all very good. I think, Derek Watt obviously got injured yesterday, but, even though he's a fullback, I still believe he could, he's still pretty good. I mean, outside of him, you got the two linemen. You obviously got JJ and TJ. TJ's in the running for Defensive Player of the Year, and obviously, you got J.J. Watt, who's already won that, and J.J. Watt, who's rounding out his career, but still a very, very competitive and good football player. But I'm just not a big fan of the Steelers. So to see them lose is nice to me, and also the fact that they've crushed the Jets' hope a couple years back, not a couple now, it's about 10 years ago. But when the Jets made the AFC Championship game, we were one game away from the Super Bowl, and everyone was talking about us making the Super Bowl, Mark Sanchez, Rex Ryan, and they crushed our hopes. And the Steelers ended up winning that game and ended up going on to win the Super Bowl, which was not did not settle well with me. It did not settle well with me. But obviously, it is what it is. The Steelers lost yesterday. My game pick record for this year is now 157-78, so nothing crazy. No real big change there. I went 11-5 on this week, back-to-back 11-5 weeks. So I thought overall, I did pretty good, and another, I would say, pretty successful week. I'm pretty excited. I'm really excited to see how the season ends out. So obviously 11-5, and then we'll see what happens week 16. Obviously, week 16 we'll have a good idea of how I'm gonna do. We got a Thursday night game. And then you got the Christmas Day game. And then you got 3 Saturday games. So by Sunday, to be honest, you'll get a good idea of how you did on your Week 16 game picks. Because you got the Thursday game, you got the Friday game, and you got the 3 Sunday games. Or 3 Saturday games. So you got 1, 2, 5. So you have 5 games. So you could be very well like 4-1. And you'll be like, okay, I'm starting off well. Or you could be 0-5. Or you could be 1-4. Or whatever. You could be 5-0. But you'll get probably a good idea there. So, yeah. So to get into the game, really. To really get into the game. I mean, like I said, if I was Mike Tomlin right now. And I don't want to get too much out of the sports topics. But I don't want to get too much... because I talk about sports on the show, obviously. But there's an app out there, and I don't really want to quite get into this because it's a little off topic. But it's Juju, Smith-Schuster and Chase Claypool, and guys like that use this app on the Steelers. Well, I'll tell you what, this is why I don't really like the Steelers either. Very cocky, we're the best. Oh, we're 11-3. Look at us. Okay, no, stop that. Okay, the way you're playing on the field is awful. So there's this app out there. I don't know if any of you heard of it. It's called TikTok. It's an app where you could, make videos of yourself dancing. Juju Smith-Schuster did that yesterday on the field. Every time they have a game, he goes onto the logo, whether it's the Bengals logo, he did it against the Bills, he did it, whatever logo it is. It could be the Jets logo. They didn't play against the Jets. Every single game. And logo is usually a prized possession of a team, right? You don't want your logo to be, when Terrell Owens back in the day would spike the ball in the front of the Dallas Star, and then when he scored a touchdown, and the one day he got decked, right? Teams don't like when you mess around with their logo, dance on their logo, do stuff like that on their logo, when you spike the ball, whatever it is. Your logo is just, in a way, it's kind of a dirty, disrespectful move to dance on someone's logo, to spike the ball on someone's logo. It's a logo, right? Juju Smith-Schuster did that yesterday early on, and he's been doing it. He did that yesterday in a game where before the game, he goes on, records a video on this app, and takes a video of it and dances on the logo. Okay, that personally, I actually think Mike Tomlin's got to talk to him about. And this might sound like a crazy, outrageous theory, but this could be the truth. When teams see that, when teams see a player messing around with their logo, talking junk to someone, saying something bad about the team, they take that and add that as fuel. They take it as fuel and take it like, you know what? They're disrespecting us. Let's go out and dominate these guys. And that's what's been happening with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I don't want to go ahead and say just because he's been dancing on the logo is because this team isn't good. But when he's been dancing on his logo, they've been losing these games. He danced on the Bills logo. You know what the Bills did? They went out there and took care of business. Danced on the Bengals logo. You know what the Bengals did? Went out there and took care of business, right? When teams see you disrespecting a logo, disrespecting their team, disrespecting whatever, you could be talking junk to a player, whatever the case may be, teams take that and add it as fuel, add it as energy, and they come out firing on all cylinders. And you know what they do? They target that one guy. And Juju Smith-Schuster yesterday got targeted, and he got hit hard. Von Bell early on in the week, player in the secondary, they asked him about how he felt dancing on the logo, and he said he doesn't feel like it's right. I mean, you know, he said he thinks it's disrespectful and all that, right? When you dance on someone's logo or mess up someone's logo, it's not the great thing to do. Your logo is your team's logo, right? Like, you don't want it to be disrespected stuff. So when they asked him about that, he said, you know what, then we'll go out there in the game and hit him and deck him. Sure enough, look what happens. Deck them, fumble, Bengals recover. I felt like from the start of this game, the Bengals had the energy. The Bengals had the energy from the start of this game when the clock started at 15 minutes and when the clock ended with 3 zeros. The game was all Bengals. The Bengals dominated this game from start to finish. You could go ahead and say, oh, what the second half was, well, look at the second half. Look how the second half went. No, the Bengals dominated this game from start to finish. You could go ahead and say, oh, they played well in the second half. It was not enough. The Bengals dominated this game from start to finish. And you want to know why? Because they probably took some of these things that the Steelers have been doing, they added his energy, and now look, they go out there and dominated him. I mean, I'm glad they dominated him too. Because all this Steelers hype around, 11-0, going to make the Super Bowl, this, oh, Ben Roethlisberger, comeback player of the year. I don't know. Are these comeback player of the year stats to you? 20 of 38, 170 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Are those comeback player of the year stats to you? I don't think they are. They aren't to me. I don't know if they are to you. And are these stats that are worthy to be dancing on other teams' logos when you go 3 catches for 15 yards? Is that good stats? No, it's not. And a fumble. Let's add on to a fumble onto that, right? Is that good? No, it's not. It's not good. Going 3 catches for 15 yards, that is not good. That is not good. Okay, so saying all this stuff about, we're going to dance in your logo and all that and trash talking, this Steelers team should be quiet and start focusing on these games because they're getting manhandled against any team. They're getting manhandled against the Bengals. They're getting manhandled against Washington. They got manhandled against the Bills. They're getting manhandled against any team in the NFL. Okay? This is an overrated football team. This is one of the most overrated football teams I have ever seen in my entire life while watching sports. And it's starting to show. 3-game losing streak. You now have the Colts, which is one of the best defenses in the league, and then you have the Browns. And I'll tell you what, for a team that everyone said, AFC North, that's not happening. Because the Browns are going to take the AFC North. I can almost guarantee it. That the Browns are going to take the AFC North. Because I think the Browns finish 12-4, and I think the Steelers very well finish 11-5. Browns are not going to win the AFC North. Or the Steelers, sorry. Steelers are not going to win the AFC North. You know who is going to win the AFC North? The Cleveland Browns. You know who isn't? The Steelers. And you know who's going to get knocked out first round of the playoffs? The Steelers. You want to know why? They're too focused on off-the-field stuff. They're not focused on these games, and overall, they're overrated. Bengals dominate this game, and I'm very happy to see that. Bengals won 27-17. Really, for the Bengals, and people were saying this now, kind of put onto the Bengals. I just got done talking about the Steelers. To kind of put it onto the Bengals, I mean, this was a team who a lot of people, obviously said they were going to lose and stuff. And, when you're 14.5-point underdogs, I don't think you expect for a lot of people to pick you. But I think there's a lot of. I think there's definitely a. There's definitely a lot of. I think there's definitely a good. I definitely think that this team is still showing a lot of fight, is what I should say. This is still a competitive football team, and ultimately, what I think was key yesterday is they got off to a quick start. They got off to a quick start, and they were winning 17-0 going into halftime. They got off to a quick start, and I know the Steelers' offense is struggling, but boy, is this Bengals defense bad. But man, did they step up yesterday. I know that was a lot I just said there, but it's the truth. This defense this year has struggled very much. They've blown a couple of games. They've been the weakness, I think, the real weakness of this team. And to sit here and tell me that the fact that they still were able to shut down the Steelers, their offense isn't good, but you look at the Bengals defense, there might be even worse. And the way that they came out there yesterday and dominated like that from the start, they did good. And this Bengals team, I knew what this was going. This Bengals team reminded me of the Jets team on Sunday. They just came out with more energy, more passion, and more firepower. They just came out overall more energized. The Steelers came out flat, and the Bengals came out firing on all cylinders. The Steelers did not get a first down until 6 minutes into the second quarter. You know how bad that is? And that first down was on a 4th down and 1. They had to convert that 4th down. It wasn't like it was on a 2nd down and 7 where they converted. They had to get to 4th down in order to make the first down. They don't make that first down, there's a chance that they don't get a first down in the entire first half. So the Bengals defense, I would like to say, I know a lot of people are talking about Ryan Finley, and I'll get to him in just a second about how he played yesterday and stuff. But I understand, he had a good game and all. But this defense deserves a ton of the credit. This defense deserves a lot of credit. They were able to stop them. They were able to take they were able to, Juju Smith-Schuster, doing all the dancing and stuff. They were able to, really quiet him down. And ultimately, when the Steelers players got angry and started making some dirty pale plays, and that's a couple dirty penalties, the Bengals were able to hold their composure and really hold. I know there's a lot of times where defenses, they had the one taunting penalty, but other times I know where the defenses, sometimes when teams start to hit you and stuff, they try to hit back, and ultimately the way that they just ignored that and they went out there, because that's a lot of some of those guys are a young group of guys, the way they did that. I think this was a great game plan by Zach Taylor, and an overall a great game by the Cincinnati Bengals, and it's a good win for the fan base and a good win for the Bengals. So they 17-0. Second half got a little interesting. They definitely made it interesting, but ultimately they were able to get the job done. 27-17 Bengals win. Let's look at some of the numbers. Like I said, Ryan Finley did everything he needed. I mean, he threw a touchdown. He ran for a touchdown against, a lot of people think is one of the best defenses in the league. He was able to find Giovanni Bernard. Bernard had a good game. I mean, ultimately this was a very good team win. This was a very good team win all around, from special teams to the offense to the defense to the coaching staff. This was a great game plan and a great team win for the Bengals. So Finley went 7-13, 89 yards, 12.7 was average, 1 touchdown, no picks, 2 sacks, and a rating of 101.1. Giovanni Bernard had 25 carries, 83 yards, 3.3 was average, 1 touchdown. You know what's even more surprising? This run defense for the Steelers is unbelievable. They were able to really pound the ball. I mean, you look at it, he had 83 yards, and Finley had 47, so a very good game there. Finley had 10 carries for 47 yards, 4.7 was his average, and a touchdown. Receiving wise, AJ Green had 2 catches for 40 yards. T. Higgins had 3 catches for 31 yards. Giovanni Bernard had a catch for 14 yards and a touchdown. And other than that, we got the job done. Steelers, Roethlisberger went 20 of 38, 170 yards. 8.5 was his average, a touchdown, a pick, and a sack, and a rating of 62.4. And that's the comeback player of the year right there. That's really it. Give it to Alex Smith. NFL, give it to Alex Smith. Benny Snell had 8 carries for 84 yards, 4.7 was average, and a touchdown. Deontay Johnson had 8 catches for 59 yards and a touchdown. Claypool, 3 catches for 54 yards. Snell, 3 catches for 23 yards. And like I said, the Bengals also had the sack. Lawson had a sack. He's had a good year there. He's probably been their best defender. Him or Von Bell, and they were able to really do it. I'll tell you what, I know a lot of people are focusing on Finley and this offense. It's defense too. Got to really pay attention to them. Big win there. Not a crazy big win, but it's always nice to beat your division rival, no matter if you're 10-0 or 1-9 or 0-10. It's still nice to get a division win. So the Bengals win 27-17 and possibly play spoilers to the Steelers, who are trying to get that number 2 seed and win the division. So now we move on to let's just take a quick look at next week's games. We got the Jets, Browns, Saints, Vikings. That's the Christmas Day game. Saints, Vikings. Buccaneers, Lions, 49ers, Cardinals, Dolphins, Raiders, Bears, Jaguars, Bengals, Texans, Colts, Steelers, Falcons, Chiefs, Giants, Ravens, Panthers, Washington, Broncos, Chargers, Cowboys, Eagles, Rams, Seahawks, Titans, Packers, and then the Bills, Patriots closing it out. So those are your games this upcoming weekend. Should be some good games there. I think should definitely be some good games. So those are your upcoming games this weekend, and that will pretty much do it for how last night's game went. Now we move on to fantasy football. I'll give you who you should add and all that good stuff. I made a couple acquisitions today. So coming up next, fantasy football. Alrighty, so here we go. So fantasy football. So both leagues, I obviously lost in, which is tough, frustrating. But I mean, at the end of the day, I guess at the end of the day, I did. I guess at the end of the day, I got to where I wanted to be, and that's, I guess, all that really matters. I mean, I got to the playoffs, but just wasn't able to. She wasn't able to really finish it off, I guess. But yeah, I mean, overall, I thought I did. I mean, overall, I thought it wasn't a bad season, but definitely wasn't that successful either. I mean, to do that. So, upcoming, I've made some acquisitions this week. I made an acquisition. I made a couple acquisitions this week. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, so I made one acquisition in my one league and another in my other league. So two in one league and one in the other. So here are my two acquisitions here in my one league. I'm adding Myles Gaskin and dropping Todd Gurley, and I'm adding George Kittle and dropping Rob Gronkowski. Yes, you heard it here first. George Kittle is expected to be back. So if you didn't have him on your IR already, without a doubt, pick him up because he could be a key player if you're in the finals, if you're even just in a consolation game, whatever the case may be, if you just want to get a win, no matter if your team's the worst in the league or whatever. If Kittle's out there, definitely recommend taking him. I had him, but then I dropped him because of the IR. But now with him coming back, I think there's a very, very, very good possibility that he is... definitely very, very good possibility that he comes back. He's projected 9 points. So if I could get Kittle back in my lineup, I think that would be huge. To try to win in both leagues to get Kittle back in my lineup. Obviously, he's coming back. This is the lineup I'm rolling with right now. I got Aaron Rodgers, Chris Carson, David Johnson, Devontae Adams, Robert Woods, Robert Tonyan, Allen Robinson, Rams defense, Daniel Carlson. My bench is Ezekiel Elliott, DJ Moore, Todd Gurley, Rob Gronkowski, Ronald Jones, and Austin Eckler. And I made a move today. I dropped Juju Smith-Schuster. So I've been patient with him. Just really frustrated with him. So I dropped him. That seems to be probably... that seems to be it pretty much there. As a matter of fact, I'm going to try to find this. It's on waivers. So obviously those are just some of my players there. I could check here what the deal is. Hold on a second. Okay, so here we go. So here are some questionables. Ezekiel Elliott is obviously questionable. Coach Mike McCarthy said Monday that Elliott calf has a chance to suit up Sunday against the Eagles. Jane Slater of the NFL Network reports. And Ronald Jones, who was out last week. No new news on him, but it looks like he should be back in. Todd Gurley, by the way, I'm dropping. He's averaging 4 points a game. He's projected to get 4 points a game. The guy is just awful right now. He's really been struggling. I'm pretty much done with him. He just doesn't seem to be really getting the chances there in Atlanta. So those are my 2 acquisitions. Those are the 2 moves I'm going to make. And, I like the matchup with Myles Gaskin. I like that. I think it's favorable. So I'm gonna pick him up. Not saying I'm going to start him, but definitely will be in my lineup. So now my other league, I'm dropping Cam Akers and adding George Kittle. That was the plan there. And that's my one waiver acquisition or waiver claim. And then my lineup is Deshaun Watson, James Robinson, David Johnson, Tyreek Hill, Mike Evans, Devontae Adams, Robert Tonyan, A.J. Brown, Rams defense, and Daniel Carlson. My bench is Kenyon Drake, Keenan Allen, Antonio Gibson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Raheem Mostert, and Cam Akers. So it looks like Antonio Gibson should be in and should be going. So it looks like I'm going to play Antonio Gibson. But I have a couple questionables. James Robinson's questionable. Robinson was forced out of Sunday's game against the Ravens with ankle injury. No news on him. We'll probably figure it out within the next couple of days. Gibson toe, no new news on him, but he's questionable. So he went from doubtful to questionable, which is, I guess, good news there. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is doubtful. The Chiefs believe that Helaire suffered a high ankle sprain and a strained hip during Sunday's 32-29 win over the Saints. Adam Schefter of ESPN.com reports high ankle sprain. He'll be done for the fantasy season. Raheem Mostert, no real news on him. He's questionable a lot, so I'm not too concerned. But Cam Akers is out. Ankle suffered a high ankle sprain in Sunday's loss to the Jets and will be sidelined for Rams Week 16 matchup against the Seahawks. As a result, Lindsay, a theory of the ESPN.com reports. So a couple injuries there on the injury front, but other than that, pretty good. It's still a lot of injuries, but Helaire and stuff, that's pretty much done. I don't know what I'm going to do with Helaire. I'm still trying to figure that out. I'll probably get rid of him. I mean, I haven't really been playing him to begin with. I don't know. I don't really want to play Le'Veon Bell. I mean, I don't want to pick him up, but at the same time, he did have a good week last week. So, I guess it really all depends on what you got going there. I mean, yeah. So, other than that, though, it should be interesting to see what all happens with the rest of the league and the acquisitions. Hopefully all those go through and I pick those guys up. So that's pretty much what I got for fantasy football. Hopefully your team's in a championship. If it is, hopefully you win. Both of my teams sadly did not make it. So that's kind of what I got for fantasy football. I'll be back at fantasy in just a little bit, but now we head on over to my NBA power rankings. This one's gonna be fun. I'm excited. NBA power rankings coming up next. Alrighty, so we obviously all know it's the new NBA season. Obviously, everyone at the moment is, wondering, who's going to be in, who's going to be out, who's going to be in the finals. I don't always like to make my, if you had to ask me right now who's in the finals, I would have to probably say the Lakers, I think, are going to be in. Now, do I know who they're going to play against? No, I think there's a good shot the Nets could be in it. I think there's a good shot the Heat could make it back. I think there's a good shot the Bucks, if they find a way to turn it on in the postseason. I think overall, if you ask me, it's just gonna be a fun year. I'm just excited. I think it's just gonna be a fun year. I think it's just gonna be a fun season of basketball, to be honest. So obviously it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. I think with the NBA, but I'm not a big fan of at the beginning of the year saying, this team's going to make the finals or whatever league. This team's going to make the Stanley Cup. This week's team's going to make the World Series. This team's going to make the Super Bowl. This team's going to make the finals. I don't usually do that. I don't know. It's just something about it. I don't know, because you've never seen these teams play before. Like, especially this year with the NFL. You didn't even see them touch. Like, the first time you saw these teams playing in a real game against someone other than the same uniform, against someone other than scrimmages, was on week 1. So you can't really say, this team's going to be great or this team's going to be bad, because you barely saw them. So I don't really want to say that now, although you have a good idea. The Lakers, top 10 teams, probably each of these teams have a pretty good shot at making it to the final. So, I think there's going to be interesting here to see what happens. But this is my top 10 teams. This is my opinion. This is not from a list. I did not go off of anything. This is in my opinion. If there's any list out there that are just like mine, good. I did not copy off of any list. This is just personally my opinion. Who I think's the best team. Who I think's I don't want to say the worst team, but the top 10 teams. I don't do the whole 32. Or the whole 30 or whole 32, however many teams are in each sport league. For the NBA, there's only 30 teams, so I don't do the whole 30. I like to usually just hone in on the top 10. I just feel like that's always important because, like, what does it matter if the 20 and what does it matter if if the 26th team is ranked there? Like, what does that matter, right? I like to really hone in on a top 10, those core teams that are going to be battling for some of the really good playoff spots. That's what I really like to hone in on. So, if you really want to look through the top 30, you might have to find another list, but this is where I do my top 10. But here we go. So my top 10 new NBA season. I'm super excited, super stoked. I never felt this confident as a Nets fan. Sports fan, I've felt confident with the Yankees, and your confidence level really drops after usually seeing how the team plays in the postseason. But the Nets, the confidence level is very high this year. We have a lot of high expectations. We definitely are a final contender. We're definitely an to win the East contender. Definitely a good shot at us doing some great things. So here we go. So the top 10 teams, I'll go from number 10 to number 1. Here we go. Top 10 NBA teams, my NBA power rankings. Here we go. Coming in at number 10, I have the Dallas Mavericks. Okay, I know there's a lot of people that might go ahead and say, oh, why didn't you put the Sixers or, the Suns maybe, something like that. Okay, if you've seen this Mavericks team play, you know how good they are. You have one of the biggest names in basketball, Luka Doncic, who is the favorite at the moment to win MVP. He is a young star. He's a stud. He is by far one of the best players in the NBA right now. He is one of the best players at his position. He's one of the best players in the league. He's young. He is going to be a superstar in this league. He already is, and he's just going to continue to get better. Okay, this is a young team that is starting to get more veteranized, that is starting to get more knowledge, good coach, good team, good organization. The Mavericks are a good team, and you got to watch out for them. I know a lot of people always overshoot them and start to look at the Utah Jazz and, maybe teams with bigger names. That's not the case. This is a Mavericks team you really got to focus on because this team's a very good team and a very young team and a very fun team to watch. They have a lot of fun. They really do. Very fun team to watch. So I give the Mavericks here. And I know Kristaps Porzingis is out for the first couple weeks of the season, but once they get him back, him and Luka Doncic on the court together are very successful. We've seen it happen before. We're going to see it again this year. Dallas Mavericks. Seriously, watch out. I'm not saying they're going to win the finals, but they're definitely a dark horse for possibly winning the finals and maybe a dark horse to possibly finishing, top 5, top 3 in the Western Conference. It is a very good team. It's a scary team. I would not want to face this team in any time in the playoffs or any time throughout the season. It's a young team, couple of veterans, couple of guys that have been experienced. That mixes very well together and a very good team. Mavericks at number 10. Number 9. Coming in at number 9, we have the Toronto Raptors, right? The Raptors last season are coming off of another pretty successful season. Here's the thing with the Raptors. I think they're one of the most consistent teams in all the league. Every year they seem to be in. Kyle Lowry, very consistent. Every year this team seems to be in the hunt, in the race, in the conversation for the East, in the conversation to make the finals. Every year. This is a team led by Nick Nurse, who won Coach of the Year last year. This is a team who got so close to winning the NBA Finals. They didn't. They fell just short. But this is a Toronto Raptors team that is a very good team. They got a mix. They're almost like the Mavericks as well. They got a couple young guys. They got a couple older guys. They got, I think, in my opinion, one of the best forwards in basketball, maybe outside of AD. And then, in my opinion, they got Pascal Siakam, one of the best forwards in basketball outside of Anthony Davis. And then they also have Fred VanVleet, that little bit of that young, and then you have Kyle Lowry, a little bit of that veteran knowledge there that drops both on Fred VanVleet. Fred VanVleet obviously had a very good year last year, got a contract extension this offseason. Very good basketball player, very good shooting. This is a very good shooting and rebounding team. Pascal Siakam with the rebound. He can stretch the floor and shoot. He's a good player. He'll take the shots down low. He'll get them. This is a very good team. That's a very good passing team. They can make the extra pass. Lowry to Van Fleet to Siakam, vice versa, whatever you want to do. They're really good in transition defense. A very good basketball team in terms of just mix. Not too many veterans, not too many young guys. That veteran and that young guy mix is so successful, I feel like, in any sport. Whether you're talking about baseball, basketball, football, or hockey. Veteran and young is a good mix. You have the veterans to drop some knowledge on the young guys, and the young guys to improve with each other, build chemistry, because more than likely some of those young guys are going to be together for a very long time. So that's why I feel like, the young guys, I feel like the veterans are the glue to that, they're glue. The young guys are the little bits and pieces of the paper. The older guys are the glue. Those are the guys that really brings them together, really gets them to chemistry, really drops knowledge on them. So this is another one of these mixed teams with a lot of young, a little bit of older, very good team. With them losing Ibaka, I don't think that's going to make too much of a difference because Siakam was starting at the forward center position anyway. So it's going to be a fun team to watch. I have the Toronto Raptors at number 9. Number 8, we have the Utah Jazz. Okay, Jazz just got done paying 2 max contracts over the offseason. They made Rudy Gobert the highest paid center in the history of the NBA, and they made Donovan Mitchell one of the highest paid centers, or not highest paid center, one of the highest paid players in the league right now. 2 supermax, and I love that. I love both of those deals. You're giving probably your 2 best players 2 big contracts, keeping them there. Donovan Mitchell coming off of a successful season, Rudy Gobert coming off of a successful season. It's another team too. A lot of knowledge, a lot of good players, a lot of good shooting. It's a team too that has a bright future. This is a team that hasn't been able to get to that next level yet, which is probably avoiding me from putting them in front of some of the teams that are ahead of them. It's a team that hasn't been able to get to the next level yet. They're getting here. They're just not getting up here yet. But this is definitely a team that's definitely can see the finals. They can definitely see them. Finals are around the corner for this team. And I can just see it. The Jazz are going to, every year, this is another team. Every year, this is a Jazz team that's always a talk in the West. Whether they're the 8 seed or the 4 seed. Every year, this is a team that's in the conversation and a consistent team. Utah Jazz, number 8. Coming at number 7, I have the Boston Celtics. What makes this difference from the Jazz and the Celtics? I feel like the Jazz or the Celtics have a little bit of a better shooting. Once they get Kemba Walker back, you got 2 very good shooters in Walker and Jason Tatum. You got a good center in Maurice Dice. You're losing Gordon Hayward, but that, in my opinion, that's not too big of a loss. You have Jaylen Brown. This is a Boston Celtics team that can really stretch the floor. You have a couple 2-point mid-range guys. You got a couple deep guys. You got a couple guys that can really stretch it out and play from anywhere. You got a couple good defenders, too. Dice is one of those guys that's going to stay in the paint and take the hits. He's going to be the team player. He's going to be the guy at the end of the day that's going to be, after the game, having all the bumps and bruises. Every team needs that guy. Every team needs that guy is going to stand in the paint and take the hits, right? That's what teams need. The Celtics have that in this team. I think what really pushes the Celtics, I feel like what really pushes the Celtics over the rest, over the Jazz, is the fact that they have, more of the shooting, right? Outside of Mitchell, Gobert not great. Outside of Mitchell, the Jazz don't have much great shooting. But then you look at what this team has. You have Jaylen Brown, Smart, you have Tatum, you have Kemba Walker once he comes back. He's obviously got a knee injury. So, when guys like that come back, when this team's, and this is another team too, always in the conversation. It's a very consistent team. If you look at the list, a lot of these teams are consistent. The teams that I just read, outside of the Mavericks, because the Mavericks are really young, they're really starting to, getting to their own and really starting to be a team to beat. The Raptors are consistent, the Jazz are consistent, and the Celtics are very consistent. These teams I've read so far are consistent. I love consistency in sports. Teams that every year are in the conversation. I'm not a big fan of those teams that are always those, the one year they had a great year. What happens the next year? I need to know. That's why I'm not a big fan of giving players big contracts after they have one great year. Is that a one-year wonder? There's been plenty of them. There's also been plenty of players that are insane surprises, right? That's why. A lot of these teams are consistent. That's why I'm putting them high. Celtics, number 7. Number 6, the Brooklyn Nets, okay? I know you might be surprised. Some of you might be thinking that I might have put them higher, okay? I think the Nets are going to have an excellent year. I do. I've never been this excited for an NBA season before. I'm excited to watch KD and Kyrie take the floor together. I'm excited to watch I'm excited to watch some of these other guys. I'm excited to see what they do with Karis LeVert, Joe Harris. I'm excited. I'm excited for this team. I've never been more excited for an NBA season, right? Especially with the Nets having an early exit in the bubble and all that stuff. I have never been more excited for the NBA season to start back up again. So, I have the Brooklyn Nets at number 6. I think this is a team that's very well in the final contender. I think this is a very well team that's going to be a team to beat down the stretch. I think this is a team that's going to have a very successful 50-win season, around 50 wins. This is going to be a team that's going to finish, I think, top 3 in the Eastern Conference. What's pushing me back from putting them number 5, number 4, number 1 is I still need to see them, right? I think they're going to be excellent. I think they're going to be insane. But to put this team in number 1 in front of a team that's already proven stuff to me is just not fair. I think this is a very good position for the Brooklyn Nets. You look at other NBA power rankings. A lot of them have the Nets at 5 or 6. I've even seen some put them at 8. I think that's too low. I don't think the Raptors are better. I don't think the Celtics are better. I think the Nets are better than them. But I think the Nets 6. They're right in the middle there. I think they're a perfect spot. They're definitely a top 10 team. I think a top 6 team. Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, Joe Harris, Karis LeVert, DeAndre Jordan, Jared Allen, guys like that. Going to be an entertaining year. Nets at number 6. I could not be more excited to watch this team. The Nets have always been known as this team to have a bunch of one-year contracts. To now finally have a team, to have a big contract, big name players in this team is just unbelievable. So excited. Really pumped up for the season. So the Nets at number 6. Number 5 are the Los Angeles Clippers. All right, this is another one. Some of you might think that's a little too. Okay, I did not like what I saw out of them in the postseason. They're getting a new head coach. I need to see what this team does with their new head coach. Okay, I really do. Kawhi Leonard, I need to see what happens with him and his whole load management situation. I want to see what this team does. This team's in a little bit of a little bit of an experiment, right? You have 2 players that, are, very good players, but you just don't know if their style of play is going to fit each other. You have 2 very good players, right? They just have a lot of talent. Can they build chemistry? That's the real question. It's an experiment, I feel like, with this team. And last year, what I saw out of this Clippers team, I just did not think was too great, especially in the bubble. What's pushing me is that they're veteran. I mean, they've shown us that they can make the playoffs. I think it's just ultimately finishing is really big for them. I think just finishing games is huge for them. If they can finish games, if they can finish games and win these games that they're supposed to win, that's good. Because last season they had a couple of those games where they were winning, they blew them, or they were supposed to win and they didn't. They gotta just be focused on these games. I think that's big. So I think at number 5 is the Los Angeles Clippers. Number 4, I have the Denver Nuggets. Okay, I think the Denver Nuggets are a good team. I think with Jokic, Jamal Murray, they obviously are losing Jeremiah Grant, who was kind of the glue to that team. Was a guy, I think Michael Porter Jr. is going to have a huge year this year. He showed a lot of promise in the bubble. Jamal Murray's just been Jamal Murray, and Jokic, I think, might have claimed one of the best centers in the league, and I think he's going to have a bright future ahead of him. This is a young team. This is a team that's not only good right now, but this is a team that down the road is going to be very good. I like what I see out of this team. They have a lot of bigs. They have a lot of shooters. It's a perfect mix. They have a very good big man in Jokic, and they have a very good shooter in Murray. This is a perfect mix. You don't want too many shooters and little big men, but you don't want too many big men and no shooters. It's a perfect mixed team. This league is turning into a shooting league, and you also need guys that are going to get rebound, take shots underneath. Jokic is that guy. Number 4, the Denver Nuggets. Number 3, I have the Miami Heat. Okay, this Miami Heat team, I could honestly say you can make the argument to put them at number 1. I'm not going to, but I think they're definitely right there at number 3. Okay? This team in the NBA Finals, I know they lost. They looked very good. Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, guys like that making plays. Dragic, guys like that making plays are just unbelievable. I think Jimmy Butler is one of the best small forwards in the league. You can make the argument that he is. It's a very good team. A very young and veteran team. I loved what I saw last year out of these young guys by the Miami Heat. I think the Miami Heat, you could make the argument, make them at the number 1 team. I just don't know. Something about this Miami team is just so good. They're just such a good team. They can shoot the 3. They can shoot the 2. The mid-range, they're just such a good team. They're just one of these teams that are just so fun to watch. Miami Heat, number 3. Number 2, the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, Giannis just signed the biggest contract in NBA history. I mean, people, Giannis, I know they lost Chris Middleton and a lot of other guys, but they're gaining a defender in Drew Holiday. I mean, this is a good basketball team. I mean, this is a team that every year in the regular season, they're dominant. In the postseason, they haven't been able to get there. That's what's limiting me from putting them at number one, is the postseason. It's the postseason. If they could win games and make it to the finals and stuff in the postseason, I would so put them here. But they can't. So, Bucks there. But Giannis is a very good player. I know that trade, a lot of people don't think they wanted and stuff. I know it was a little bit of an iffy trade. A lot of people have their mixed opinions on it. But I think definitely there's a good possibility there of... I think there's a very good possibility there of the Bucks being another team that's in the talk. I mean, it's a team every year that's in the conversation. And at number one, Los Angeles Lakers. This one's simple. LeBron, Anthony Davis. This is going to be the team that's going to be really tough to beat. I mean, this is a very good basketball team. I mean, this is a team that's coming off of the championship, coming off of a championship win. I mean, this is just a very good team. I mean, there's not much else has to be said there. Just a very, very, very good team. And a very entertaining team to watch. You have a lot of good players. You got LeBron, Anthony Davis, guys like that. You know, this team every year is in the conversation with them, and I think they're a very good shot at going for the repeat here. I think there's a very good possibility of them, going for the repeat and going for another championship. I think that's a very well possibility. So, number one, Lakers. So, to round out my list, this is my final list. I got the Dallas Mavericks, Toronto Raptors, Utah Jazz, Boston Celtics, Brooklyn Nets, Los Angeles Clippers, Denver Nuggets, Miami Heat, Milwaukee Bucks, and the Los Angeles Lakers. So that's my top 10 power rankings, teams, whatever you want to call it. That is my list for the NBA. So that's it. That's my power rankings. Like I said, I don't think the Nets are number one. But I definitely think they're right there. They're right there. And I think we'll figure out by a couple weeks into the season if this team's legit, if this team's going to take some time to still grow. How is KD bouncing back? We're going to all figure that out very soon. That stuff's not going to take time. It's going to take time to figure out who's going to be the final. That's all the way at the end of the season. But this is definitely going to be a fun season to watch and a fun... I'm excited. Okay, so it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be good. So now I move on to college basketball. College basketball. We got some games on today. Virginia, William and Mary. Virginia the win. Missouri, Bradley give Missouri the win. Wisconsin, Nebraska give Wisconsin the win. Oklahoma, Texas Tech give Texas Tech the win. North Carolina State give North Carolina the win. Houston, Temple give Houston the win. Gonzaga, Northwestern State give Gonzaga the win. Iowa, Purdue give Iowa the win. And Kansas, West Virginia. That's a big game there. I give Kansas the win. So, those are your games there. College football, we got a bowl game on today. We got a bowl game. We got a couple of bowl games on today. 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on ESPN. Tulane, Nevada. I give Tulane the win, and BYU UCF at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on ESPN. I give BYU the win. Zach Wilson, those guys over there have been really dominant this season, so that is the pick there. So yeah. So that's what I got for college basketball and college football. Now we move on to the NBA. Very exciting. This is the day. NBA season starts tonight. This is the picks. We got the Brooklyn Nets and the Golden State Warriors versus the Lakers and the Clippers. I'll start off. The Nets tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on TNT. The Nets come into this game 7.5-point favorites. The over-under is 233. I know, with high-scoring games. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. You might find some rust early, but I think by far a lot of the rust got knocked off early on. But like I said, this is it. This is the year for the Nets. We've been all waiting for this. Last year was, a playoff, but, was not what we wanted. And this is it. This is the year. KD, Kyrie, as dominant as they are. This is our year to try. It's our year to show the NBA that we are legit, and this is a team that's going to be a force to be reckoned with down the road. So this is an exciting year. I'm excited. I'm going to kick it off with the Nets win. I think the Nets win, and it'll be pretty close. Warriors got a good team. But I think the Nets win. And I think we move to 1-0 on the season. So I think the Nets win. And then next up, you got the Lakers and the Clippers, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on TNT. That's right after the Nets game. Lakers come in 3-point favorites. Over-under is 219.5. I give the Lakers the win. Like I said with the Clippers, I just don't know if I could so much trust them. Lakers obviously holding up the banner and all that stuff. So I give the Lakers the win there. So Nets and the Lakers are my winners. Like I said, I could not be more excited for the Nets to take the court. So it's going to be an exciting season, to say the very least. It's going to be exciting. I'm really excited for the season. So now we move on to fantasy basketball. Here. So now we move on to fantasy basketball. We got, this is my team. I'm going to run through it one more time, and then we'll go, and then we'll move on through here. So this is my team. I got, let's see. Okay, here we go. So this is my team. Trae Young, Bradley Beal, Jimmy Butler, Anthony Davis, Jonas Valanciunas, Kyrie Irving, Pascal Siakam, Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, and LaMarcus Aldridge. And my bench is Yusuf Nurkic, Jeremiah Grant, and Victor Oladipo. So this is what I got for today. I get Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving going tonight. Like I said, first night of fantasy basketball, going to be really exciting. So that's my lineup for today. So that's what I'm rolling with today. Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving. So that's it. If you have those guys, I would definitely recommend starting. Like I said, even if it's an average player, right, you have room. There's only 2 games on tonight. So start the players you could start. Let them get you points. I'm in the standard scoring league, so I'm just in a league where, that's why sometimes I might not have the biggest names, because you got to want guys that are going to shoot high percentages, because I'm in a league, if you miss a shot, it's a -1 point. So you want to make sure that, you got guys that are going to make shots. You don't want a 20% shooter on your team. You want guys that are going to make shots, and guys that are going to shoot efficiently, because those are ultimately the guys that are going to help you big time. So that's what I got. I'm excited. So so tune in tonight for the Nets and the Warriors game, and then the Lakers Clippers. Obviously, go Nets. I'm really excited. Just want the game to be here already to watch it, obviously. But yeah, it should be a good game. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it really is. I think it's going to be a fun game. It makes sense why they put these 2 teams to open up 4 big time name teams now. And it's going to be a fun night of basketball ahead of us. So and we got the bowl game on at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to watch that, I'll probably watch that for a little bit, and then turn on the Nets game. So that should probably end way before the Nets game, though. I would imagine that game's probably gonna end before the Nets game. But yeah, so that's what I got for the podcast today. I will see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.